When the poet Maya Angelou was asked if she'd become bitter as an activist, she replied, "No, bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host. Anger is healthy. Anger is like fire. It burns out all the dross. As soon as I feel insulted, the person who has insulted me is the second to know. I say, 'Stop. I beg your pardon. You won't do that to me. Don't put that poison on me. I will not have it.' That's much healthier." Unfortunately, it's creative. She's not the only writer who sees anger as creative. The novelist Arundhati Roy says that her anger comes out in her humor. Nor is Angelou the only writer to see anger as productive. The poet laureate Amanda Gorman, in her poem Fury and Faith, says that anger is not only natural, but necessary because it carries us to our destination. Today, I want to read a poem that I believe is born out of that productive, creative anger. A poem you've probably seen before called Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. I'll admit, I used to roll my eyes at this poem because it's literally everywhere. But the other day, I was feeling angry about something, and this poem popped into my head like a blessing. It's a poem worth having in your back pocket because anger is an emotion that's hard to know what to do with. I've always viewed anger negatively, but this poem helped me see how anger can be channeled to rebuild rather than wound, to create rather than destroy. Anger, to me, comes from a place of feeling powerless, and this poem is about reclaiming our power. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. The opening stanza starts with 3 lines addressed to the you who is trying to hurt the speaker, and the final line shifts to I, who is the speaker. That mirrors the structure of the whole poem. Most of the poem is about the you who is trying to hurt the speaker, but the last 2 lines are about the speaker herself. From the very first stanza, there's a refusal by the speaker to let herself be defined by how the other person tries to define her. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies, but that's a you problem. Me, still like dust, I'll rise. And this is really important when you've been hurt or angered, to remember who you are and not allow another person's vitriol to define you. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Does my sassiness upset you? Again, it's turning it back on the other person who is trying to hurt the speaker. It's the other person's own inner poison that's causing them to be beset with gloom at the speaker's sense of power. The speaker doesn't have that kind of poison. The speaker has sassiness, which I love because sassiness is anger mixed with creativity and humor. It's a potentially more productive kind of anger. Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. This is about certainty and inevitability. There is so much light in each of us, and it is so powerful that by the laws of nature, it will inevitably rise up. Like dust, like the moon, like the sun, like the tides, no matter how much we or others try to suppress it. I love the word springing here because springing feels automatic and unstoppable. You can will yourself to jump or leap, but you can't will yourself to spring. It just happens. And spring, of course, is the season of hope, of flowers and green grass springing up high through the melting snow. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries. Anger comes from feeling powerless, from feeling broken, and this stanza is a speaker reminding herself, I'm not broken, I may only feel like I am. Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? The verb dance here reminds me of the Eastern philosophical concept of lila, which means dance but also means play. There's a playful confidence here that also shows up in sassiness and sexiness. In fact, both of these stanza openers are nearly identical. Does my sassiness upset you? And then, does my sexiness upset you? And then, does it come as a surprise? Because sometimes when you see someone moving through life with that kind of ease, it is genuinely surprising. It can feel almost illegal to be so open and natural when most of us have been taught to become so rigid. At the meeting of my thighs, that imagery to me harkens back to our basic human nature. And instead of shame or rigidness or closeness here, there's an openness and a playfulness here that might unsettle those who've suppressed those natural gifts in themselves. Out of the huts of history's shame I rise, up from a past that's rooted in pain I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping and wide, welling and swelling I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear I rise, into a daybreak that's wondrously clear I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. The last stanzas shift in rhythm and they shift in focus, away from the other person who was trying to hurt the speaker and towards the speaker herself. The speaker is reaffirming the identity that the other was trying to break. There's also a shift in rhyme scheme that almost mimics a sonnet to me. All the other stanzas read A, B, C, B in their rhyme scheme, but at the end we get a couple of couplets, and those rhymes add emphasis. Wide and tide, gave and slave. There's an acknowledgement here of shame, of pain, and that pain could drag the speaker down further, especially after experiencing an insult from the other person that touches the speaker's old wounds. But instead of letting that history hold her down, the speaker uses it as evidence of resilience. In her ancestors' darkest days, there was still the dream and the hope of a slave. To have dreams and hope under those conditions, that is extraordinary. And to be a free person and not honor that would be a failure. So the speaker is reminding herself of her higher obligation. She owes something to her past self, to her ancestors, to that enduring dream. And I think we all owe it to all of humanity to never lose hope, even in the face of incredible opposition. I love that the poem ends by putting all of this into a broader historical context, because it's taking what's probably a small, painful moment of being insulted, being looked down upon, and placing that moment inside of something much larger. That historical reframing makes that small moment of hurt feel less all-engulfing, and it's what gives the speaker and the reader the power to rise.